Zones, my Sakonauts. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as the Witch of Tylwyth Teg, or Tylwyth Teg. And today we are reading about modern appliances in magic out of House Witch by Arin Murphy-Hiscock. If we haven't met before, I'd like to welcome you to my channel. It's very nice to meet you. And if you have been here before, it is so lovely to see you back. Oh my God, I love you guys. All the hype for the inauguration today. All the hype. I'd like to start this morning with a grounding ritual to start your day. This starts in your domain. So if you have not created a domain, you might want to sign up for my newsletter, which is linked below. Sit with your hands in your lap and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it for a moment. And as you let it out completely through your mouth, let go of the tension from the night and the grogginess of the morning. Take another deep breath in. As you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in pure love. As you breathe out, imagine you are breathing out forgiveness. Take a third deep breath in, and as you do so, imagine a light coming in at the top of your head. It enters at the top of your head and spreads down over your face, neck, and shoulders. This cleansing light now expands along your back, down your legs, and out through your feet. It is as if cleansing light is a constant flow of soothing energy entering from your head and passing out through the arches of your feet. You are just outside the door of your domain. The air is crisp and cool. The evergreens sway slightly in the breeze, and the ground has a large patch of moss at your feet. Step barefoot onto the moss. Feel how soft it is. Feel the solid ground underneath. That light coming into your head can now be translated into energy that you can send out your feet. Convert the light into roots and send the roots out the bottoms of your feet and deep into the earth, as deep as you can. The soil is fresh, easy to toil, easy to carve a path down. Feel how anchored you are, how close to the earth. Reach as far down as you can. The earth hugs your roots comfortably, no matter how sharp or curly, no matter how many times they split off. Slowly pull the roots back up the way they came. Your roots slither through the dark, the soil filling in its wake. Pull the roots back into your feet, convert it back to the light, and let the light filter through you and out the top of your head. Take one more deep breath in and Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we just did our morning grounding ritual. If you're interested in more meditations like this one, or maybe a bit more exploratory, you might want to look at subscribing to my Patreon, where I will be releasing 2 a month to help you on your supernatural and spiritual journey. Until then, you can join me for coffee in the mornings here on YouTube. Ginny is finally here and able to hang out on the stream. My lighting situation keeps changing. Hold on. This is ludicrous how often my lighting is changing. It's a windy day, so something tells me it's going to rain later. There we go. Is that a little better? Hello! Have one ear in the stream and one ear on the inauguration today. Ginny 2. Hi, Katerina. Yay, Katerina. Damn right. The inauguration will be at noon today on basically every channel, I assume. Been watching all the live things on Woke on Twitch this morning. Woke, huh? While trying to get some work done for the next month via Insta, Facebook, Twitter stuff. I really need to take a day and do that too. I need to buffer my Insta. I've been lax on it the last couple of weeks. They all just left church. Cool. So, let's pull our card from the Mystic Mondays Tarot. See what it says about our self-care today. Ooh. Shuffle it real good and then pull a card. Is it? Yeah, okay. Just making sure I pulled the deck proper like. So if I get a reversed card, it actually is a reversed card and not an upside down deck. Okay. What are the odds? The Hierophant. The card's doling out the truth today. Hi, Debbie. So good to see you, darling. Come on. It's in the beginning of the book, so there we go. Stay woke. The Hierophant calls on you to honor the traditions in your life. Whether large or small, honoring rituals can help you feel grounded. At this time, you are drawn towards joining a group, community, or organization that has certain rules you'd have to follow. By joining these groups, you will broaden your scope and expand your knowledge. Strength in numbers allows you to feel a sense of acceptance, unity, and identity. Look to your lineage of ancestors or religion to shine light on the wisdom of the past. The Hierophant guides you on your spiritual journey through unity in community, rituals with rules, and structure in societies. Be prepared to absorb as much information as you can. Higher learning leads to a better understanding of your higher self. I also think of indoctrination, inauguration, all those things. All right. Modern appliances and magic. Where's my Spence? Is Spence online today? Doesn't look like it. She must be doing house things. This section is not necessarily advocating the use of appliances in magical or spiritual practice, but simply lists them and their alternate uses or energies as they currently exist in many kitchens. If you do not have some of them, you're not missing out on anything. That said, there are a lot of things in your kitchen that you take for granted, like the coffee pot, the kettle, the microwave, and while they're not traditional tools, you may not have considered them as possibilities for contemporary magical tools. However, as hearthcraft is about practicality, there's no reason to avoid things you could be using in your daily practice. Why should only certain kitchen activities or tools be spiritual or creative? Why can't you employ electric fryers and stand mixers? The main argument against using modern kitchen appliances for magic is that the use of electricity somehow disrupts or alters magic. I think that's bullshit. To each his or her own, but I have rarely found that electricity running through wires set inside the walls of my home affects the rituals or spiritual work I do within those walls. The second argument sometimes given is that the individual who objects to them feels that it is somehow cheating if an appliance is used. But again, hearthcraft is about practicality. There is no point to making more work for yourself by doing it the old-fashioned way. In a different light, however, if you wish to celebrate something by offering up the time and energy it requires to do a task without the aid of modern technology in the kitchen, more power to you. It can be a wonderful, meditative experience. There is one caveat to using your everyday appliances for magical and spiritual purposes. You can't always use them again for cooking if you've used them to grind or blend something inedible. Take a small food processor or coffee grinder used to make incense, for example. No matter how much you scrub, essential oils and resin powder might not come out. If you intend to use small appliances such as these for magical and spiritual related work, invest in a second-hand machine to devote to that purpose only for the sake of health and safety. At the very least, recognizing your appliances and kitchen tools as partners in your daily life provides you with yet another opportunity to take advantage of the energies of your environment. Being aware of what is around you and how you use the tools at your disposal allows you to remain more in control of your environment. Becoming familiar with specific energies further provides you with the opportunity to use them with awareness and precision, thereby enhancing your spiritual experience and broadening or deepening the complex web of energies that makes up your hearth and home. Understanding that every tool you use possesses its own energy is the first step toward gaining a better understanding of how the energy of your kitchen is produced and affected. How to begin? Well, a good way to start is by blessing each major appliance in your home. in your kitchen. Excuse me. This isn't quite as insane as it sounds. As human beings, we tend to project personalities onto machines because we relate better to things that we perceive as having identities. Brave little toaster? What? My phone buzzed. I felt it. But I don't know where my phone is. Am I sitting on it? Just possible. What did I do with my phone? It's probably in my pocket. Probably. All right, where was I? By recognizing the appliances as participants in your activities at hearth and home, you formally acknowledge their energies. If you wish to go so far as to giving them names, do so. There is danger in naming servitors. That's hazy. That's hazy. We'll figure out how we are going to view these energies, these spirits, right? I think that's something we're going to have to talk through. If you wish to go so far as to giving them names, do so. Anything that gives the appliance more of a recognized presence in your kitchen will help. Your appliances and how they work impact your life in ways you often don't recognize until you lose the use of them through a power failure or a system failure of the individual machine. When this happens, your reaction is usually a negative one, born of frustration, which is understandable. It doesn't help that my appliances play songs. My laundry stuff, my washer and dryer play songs. Your appliances and how they work impact your life in ways. I read that already. Sorry. The negative reaction impacts the energy of your home, however, and it is regrettable if the only conscious response you demonstrate toward appliances and their uses is a negative one. Take a look around your kitchen and make note of the appliances you use every day. The refrigerator is always on. The stove is at your disposal. The toaster, coffee maker, and microwave are most omnipresent in today's kitchens. What if, when you use them, you consciously apply their energy in a positive fashion to the overall energy of your kitchen, your home, and your life? By taking a moment to formally recognize an appliance, you are signaling to your mind and spirit that this appliance is a valued element of your everyday life. And you are signaling this to the energy of the appliance as well. This isn't the place to go into a long discourse about the validity of energy produced by machinery and technological devices as compared to the energy produced by organic and natural sourced objects. Suffice it to say that everything has an energy signature. Suffice it to say that everything has an energy signature to it, and that energy affects the environment in which the object finds itself. The mechanical-based energy of a toaster may be a bit more difficult to grasp and incorporate into your conscious everyday use than the energy of herbs or other symbols, but it is a perfectly legitimate energy. Again, it seems somewhat self-defeating to ignore the modern tools at our disposal when we are seeking to create a spiritually, emotionally, and physically nourishing, hearth-centered spiritual practice. My Keurig machine, for instance, I use in my spiritual practice. It's a thing. My electric kettle. A good place to start is by formally recognizing, the major players in your kitchen, the ones that sit on your counters and are used daily or several times a week. One way of doing this is by blessing them. See later in this chapter. Think of blessing the appliance as a way of initializing its energy in a positive manner and weaving it into the overall atmosphere of your hearth. As an example, let's look at the stand mixer. I'm focusing on this instead of the oven because it's a very specific small appliance, whereas the stove and oven tend to be more central to in the kitchen. Apart from using electricity, the stand mixer isn't much different from mixing and kneading bread from the traditional way. However, it can also be argued that with less input from you, less hands-on activity, you're divorcing yourself further from the potential to imbue your resulting bread product with more magic and energy. When making bread for specific magical or spiritual purposes, yes, I make it entirely by hand, but for everyday bread, I use a machine, and by blessing the appliance itself and the ingredients as I place them in the bowl, I'm maximizing the potential for hearth magic on a daily basis. As a result of a physical condition, I am slowly losing strength in my hands, and therefore I can see that in the near future I will need to use the machine for mixing and kneading, even bread for ritual use. And when that happens, I'll be fine with it because I recognize that it's the intent and the recognition of the machine itself as a participating element within my hearth and home practice that is key. Oh my gosh, Spence. I was actually wondering where you were. We just talked about the standing mixer. I strongly recommend listening to this on the replay. Because now we're going to talk about the cookbook. I write my own. I found a cookbook, a very nicely designed cookbook that you write your own recipes in. Oh, school meeting. I get it. Totally takes precedence. Another essential kitchen aid that you probably overlook when you think of tools is your cookbook or recipe file. This does not mean a published cookbook, but rather the binder or folder of recipes you've collected over the years with the notes scribbled to yourself in the margins or the back of the papers, photocopies, and hastily handwritten scraps of paper, pages torn from magazines, recipes printed from websites, tattered recipe cards stained with vanilla extract and coffee and tomato paste. If you stuff these recipes inside the front cover of your main published cookbook or have them loose somewhere, treat yourself to a scrapbook or a sturdy 3-ring binder and a set of transparent sheet protectors. The latter is ideal because the sheet protectors can not only be wiped off when you stir the soup a bit too enthusiastically, you can also slip notes inside them. Your cookbook is paralleled by a book of shadows or a grimoire in exclusively spiritual practices. A book of shadows is a place where you can note down things you've tried, changes to spells, records of rituals, recipes, and so forth. Your cookbook is another form of this. Arrange it in a way that makes sense to you. Generally, recipe collections are organized by type of dish: appetizer, main dish, one-pot meals, beverages, desserts, and so forth. But if you have another method of organizing your recipes, by all means use it. I know, right? That is a different generation. Even my mom doesn't do that. Keep a kitchen journal as well, one in which you can note down prayers, invocations, information, or non-food recipes related to your spiritual practice. I actually, in my book of shadows, actually in my grimoire, and also my book of shadows, but in my grimoire, I have a whole section devoted to recipes. Oh, those are potions, which count as recipes, I think, potions. Oh, here we go. Recipes.
wassail, hot toddies, detox, witch's teas, sangria, brew, Mabon spice cake, and the whipped icing on which to go on it. Cookies, soul cakes. And then if I were to try the recipe, I would, talk about my my results and my process and all of that jazz in my Book of Shadows. I have a fistful of gross pieces of paper, and for finished recipes, I put them on a recipe card. Yeah. So you do have a file, right, where you stash your cards? The best recipes are committed to memory, yeah. But that comes with the double-edged sword of losing the recipe, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. Hum diddy hum. Blessing your appliances. This is a simple and straightforward act that can be done on a regular basis to help maintain the positive charge to the appliance's energy, tie it into the harmonious energy of the kitchen, and keep it happy. No supplies are needed for this, although if you feel it necessary or preferable, you can use a small bowl or a cup of plain water, or water with a pinch of salt added to it. Note that this isn't a cleansing or a purification, simply a blessing. If you sense that it is required, do a purification before the blessing. You may feel the need to do a purification the first time you do this blessing and not again. The following instructions use the refrigerator as an example. To perform the blessing on another appliance, simply replace the name and the purpose in the use. Stand before the appliance. Hold on. I had molasses cookie recipe I made while I was living in the community house, and it was an adventure to get it. Baking cookies every day until my roommate, who had commissioned the cookies, was happy. I moved out and didn't make cookies for a year, and I haven't been able to replicate them since. That sucks. I have to go AFK for a second, and then we'll get into the actual blessing of a refrigerator. Be right back. Thank you all for your patience. I super needed to go AFK for a second. Actually, it doesn't bother me that much. Those cookies were for that place in time. That probably has more to do with my inability to replicate them more than anything else. Huh. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Interesting way of looking at it, indeed. All right, stand before your appliance. Touch it with your hands and allow yourself to sense its energy by opening yourself to whatever feelings or sensations the appliance may raise in you. The appliance may feel hot, cold, passive, active, slow, fast, eager, aloof, or anything else. When you feel that you have a sense of the appliance's energy and or personality, say, refrigerator, thank you for keeping our food fresh and cool. Thank you for being part of our lives. I bless you. If you wish, you can draw a symbol on it in plain water. Water with a pinch of salt in it or with a dry finger. The symbol can be anything you feel is appropriate. A good default symbol is a circle representing harmony, or perhaps you may wish to use something like a stylized flame to represent the energy of the hearth in the home. If you have difficulty sensing the energy of the appliance, consider what each one does in the kitchen and consciously associate it with a similar energy. For example, ice cream is sweet, and thus an ice cream maker may be associated with friendship, harmony, and love. Why not try it with a stand mixer? It combines separate ingredients into one harmonious entity of dough, so perhaps you may associate it with community, harmony, and active work. Cake tins may symbolize pleasure, celebration, and so forth. Your teapot may represent health, love, support, comfort, and peace. I have many a teapot. If you wish, you can do the same for the areas of your kitchen, the breakfast nook, the pantry, the cupboard, and so forth. Don't overlook the contents of your kitchen cupboards. Cleaning supplies, china, dinnerware, and silverware are all easily blessed and or empowered for harmony and other positive things such as health. Bless the entries into the kitchen too. The doorways and the arches are passages into the rest of the house. Name your appliances too when they mean a lot to you. Yeah, they actually talk about naming your appliances. My stand mixer's name is Ethel. It's a good name. If you... On the magical nature of everyday items. As you have learned in this book, hearthcraft is a practical practice. There is a small selection of modern kitchen appliances and utensils with comments upon their use in the modern kitchen and their impact on spiritual practice. Look at your major appliances, small countertop appliances, and other kitchen tools and utensils. What kind of energy do they carry? What sort of things do they symbolize for you? Here are some suggested associations to help you out if you can't pin down a definable energy. A knife sharpener could mean focus. A can opener can result in removing barriers, moving past obstacles. The bread machine, comfort, foundation, abundance. The coffee grinder, focus, heightened awareness, and energy. The handheld mixer or the stand mixer, gentle but firm blending of disparate thoughts or energies. The espresso machine, intensity. The milk frother, play, thought, lightheartedness. The mandolin, the mandolin, evenness and precision, and the slow cooker, slow and steady union. I agree. My mom bought one. She never fucking uses it. I think she took it to Florida finally. Just takes up. Oh, I ran out of drink. Explore your kitchen cupboards and drawers and see what you can assign to the utensils and small appliances you find. Regular purification of the kitchen. Even with the best of intentions and the attempt to live a spiritually fulfilling life free of stress, unhelpful energy collects, and in general, the positive atmosphere you strive to maintain can get a bit ragged. As the kitchen is so frequently used, it may require purification more often than the other rooms in the house. A string of clumsiness in the kitchen or bad luck in cooking may mean a purification is in order. Remember, your hearth is sacred to begin with, and the need for purification does not mean it has become tainted in any way. It just means a bit of spiritual house cleaning is in order. Refer back to purification information in Chapter 7 for ideas on how to purify the kitchen and your home in general. Remember that any activity taking place in the kitchen contributes to the energy of the hearth. Excuse me. Likewise, an activity in the kitchen also benefits from the energy of the spiritual hearth. Doing crafts, homework, and other activities in the kitchen helps tie them into the energy that surrounds the home and can have a beneficial effect upon the results. Keep records. Keeping records is important not just for in everyday life, but for your magical activities as well. Keeping track of what you did and when you did it helps you plan and schedule your activity, as well as offering you the opportunity to review your past activity for insight. It barely reduces the work involved in bread making. Yeah, I know, right? It just cooks the things. Shrug. You can do that in a pan. At its most basic, a journal can be a collection of ideas and notes about what goes right and wrong, or it can be a place to store the tidbits of home-related information you collect about spirituality or everyday life. Your journal is the place to copy recipes, rituals, ceremonies, purifications, and any other specific spiritual activity you do. You can be as specific as you like. I would call this a book of mirrors, but that's the chaos magician in me. You can be as specific as you like, including notes about the weather, who else was in the house at the time, your impression and emotional state, and so forth. It's a place to record bits of information about deities or spirits that you research, the meditations you do, the offerings you make, and how you feel they were received. You can make diary entries about how you feel, the connections you make, and the thoughts about your practice of home-based spirituality. You can paste in color swatches, clippings from magazines, or paint chips if you're planning to redecorate, and insert photographs of your house at different stages to record its evolution through the years. You can keep track of the dinner parties you host, writing down the menu, the guests invited, and the culinary successes or failures. You can press flowers or leaves from your garden in it. You can record poems or prayers in it. In short, it's a catch-all for anything associated with your spiritual path for ease of later reference. You can use a blank notebook with lined or unlined pages or a 3-ring binder. The binder allows your inserted pages to expand as necessary, whereas the bound notebook may not be closed properly after a lot of use. I recommend, if you're going to use a bound book, like get a thick one like this, but they come with this thing. So you kind of notice that I've only used the first half of the book, like barely the first half of the book, and it's already having trouble closing. So you just use the thing. Just use the thing. The binder, it works best to use something that is at least 8 by 10 to allow yourself room to record and draw and paste things in. You can also get super, super fancy ones on Etsy. Super fancy. If you're looking for 8 by 10 or bigger. The next chapter is Spirituality of Food. We got another 20 minutes. Do I start the next chapter, or do we talk about the personalities of our appliances? Also, Book of Mirrors, man. I kind of spruced up a Loot Crate book for my Book of Mirrors. I'm about halfway through with it, and I started it in 2019. Let me double check. Yep, November 2019. It contains all my research. It contains all my rituals, and why I am doing these rituals. Binder clips are handy as fuck too for bound notebooks and sketchbooks. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Or you can tape them in, kind of like here we go. So what I do, like, this is my Lamaze thing, and then I have like a spread for Lamaze, but this was a image that I kept on my altar before I got my statues. So if you can't afford statues, you can just do a doodle with a sigil or just an icon of the goddess or whatever your focus is, and then tape it in, or use a binder clip, or whatever works for you. I like to use tape, and I like to make them movable so that I can see what I put underneath, so I don't lose space. I haven't done one for Yule yet. I haven't done one for funerals or weddings or hand fastings, whatever you want to call them. But my Book of Mirrors has a lot of my motives and results and processes. So I'm very scientific in here, especially when it comes to my hedge writing. Do a lot of research. And then I talk about what I'm going to do and why. With the bath ritual for the protesters during BLM. And that was when I met Carnoon. So I go on this path where I research Carnoon, And then I got this like long ass invocation to call him back and be like, I'm sorry I kicked you out. He didn't care. He forgave me immediately. Unrelated, but I pulled the 3 of Wands for the second time this week. Business, all the business. That's awesome. Oh, Sako has thirst, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I like to make my grimoire is kind of fancy. It's all in pencil, but I used fancy fonts and stuff in it. My Book of Shadows is actually done with metallic pens. They're not glitter pens. They're like metallic pens, metallic inks, which is super cool. It was before I was doing my own sigils, but a lot of my research on gods and war water and banishing, cleansing. I think I talked about my creed because I put the 13 rules to being a witch thing in my grimoire, but it doesn't apply to me. Oh no! Why do you have 2 big deadlines this month? You're not doing the audiobook thing, right? What's going on? Do you need help? Do you want a hand? So you can be as fancy or like in my, I use a lot of stickers in my Book of Mirrors. But it's really plain. Like I make sure I write in pencil. I paste in stuff. Like I got these illustrations and information from a goddess provisions box at one point. Somewhat recently. Yeah. I think I need to update it anyway because I've been doing some stuff. But you don't have to be, you can be as fancy as you want or not fancy at all, or I just want to be consistent in books. I just want to be consistent. I have this for my witchy business stuff. I only use the first few pages. And I did it at the beginning of the month. How long did it take me to do this? December 23rd to January 1st is when I was doing all my prep. But odds are good. I will probably use a lot of the stuff that she offered, like the tarot spreads and the outlines for sales pages and stuff like that. Probably reuse that. They're not hard deadlines yet, at least, but my benchmark so I can get Super Secret Project and Vampire Romance out when I want to. which were set and designed with me not doing the things every time in mind. Spence, every time I read Vampire Christmas Romance, I see My Chemical Romance. I'm equally excited for both. Any progress is a win. You can do it. Progress is just that. It is progress. So even if you don't make the deadline, you still had more content than if you hadn't set that deadline to begin with, right? So you might have to bump back your thing. The Obamas just arrived. Yay! Awesome blossom. So if I were to do a kitchen one, I mean, I've got my hygrosomnia, so this is for dreams mostly. I have this that I originally bought for my hedge writing journal, but I do that digitally. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. Also, my bag that I keep this stuff in is getting awfully full. Quite full. Yeah, Super Secret Project is picking up steam, which is encouraging. The Christmas Romance is stalled out, but still I've got a jump start in mind. Awesome. I just need some goddamn peace and quiet during the day for me to commit to it. I definitely understand that. Having a mini makes that kind of tough. Also, having a space that makes you uncomfortable can also make that tough. So I get it. You have a lot of obstacles just in your everyday life. So any progress that you make, I think, is a win. Were I in your position, I would probably not be nearly as productive. All right, I think I'm going to end a little early today. If you liked this video at any point, please hit the like button. If you would like to see the spirituality of food, which will be next chapter in this book, please subscribe, or maybe even ring that bell so that it tells you when I go live, maybe, possibly. If you would like to support me, I do have a Patreon. There is a link to it in the description. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Thank you very much.